Hello guys and welcome to the first episode of Cooking with Jake. We're going to be making the world famous sopapillas. That is my grandparents' recipe that's been passed down for many years, and I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how to make them the best way possible so that you guys can also make them. So let's get into this.
Okay, we are ready to make some sopapillas using my mom's recipe. She used to make some wonderful sopapillas. So we just use some regular all-purpose flour. We use iodized salt and baking powder and water. So we first want to start by measuring out 4 cups of flour. So I kind of just use the mixer to kind of make sure everything gets mixed really well. And then I do a lot of the kneading by hand. So we're going to do 4 cups. Okay, and then we want to add 2 teaspoons of salt, and I make a little bit of a well in here just because you want it to mix really good with everything. So we do 2 teaspoons of salt. That just gives it a little extra flavor. And then we use the baking powder. This is the one my mom always used, so I always stick with this, but you can use any brand, it all works the same. For this, we use 3 teaspoons. Then we just want to mix it. Make sure everything mixes together. And just kind of give it a little spin. Make sure everything gets in there really good. Once it does, we're going to add 2 cups of warm water. We're just going to start the kneading process, and then I like to finish it by hand. So you want to start off and you add a full cup of water right away. You can just pour it all in, let it start mixing. You measure out your 2nd cup of water, but you don't want to pour it all in right away because you don't want to have too much liquid in there. You could always add flour, but you don't want to do that. Kind of give it a little boost. Get that dry ingredients mixed up in there. And we'll go ahead and add a little bit more water. I'm going to let this mix really good. So I went ahead and changed the mixer to the kneading cycle, and if you look at the masa, it's still a little bit crumbly, so you want to still go ahead and add a tiny bit of water. You still don't want to add it all at once because you don't want it too wet. It took me years to master this, so I know Jacob will carry on the tradition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the mixer because I do like to go ahead and knead it by hand. I'm just going to take it out of there, and I'm going to just start kneading it by hand. You can see there's some loose flour in there. So then what happens is once you get it all nice and mixed really good, you want to just leave it in a ball. You leave it covered with the kitchen towel for about 30 minutes. You want that baking powder to really get things going so that you have some fluffy sopapillas. And that's the whole trick of it. You can still see there's a little bit of flour mixed in there. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of water there on the bottom. Kind of get all that up. Finish mixing it. Normally I knead it all by hand, but I kind of like the mixer to get it going for me. It just gets it all together. Okay, so what we're going to do now is you can tell it's the right consistency. You don't want it to be too sticky. I'm just going to get it all in a ball, and you're going to go ahead and cover it up, and you let it set for 30 minutes. The little thing I do while my masa is sitting for the 30 minutes is I go ahead and get the oil ready. So if you notice I didn't put any oil in the masa mix, it's because you're frying them in oil, so you don't really need to be doing that. That's probably enough because we're not making a big, huge recipe. You want your lard to be really hot when you start frying these so that they brown perfectly. Okay, and we're back. So what I did at the end of 30 minutes is I went ahead and I made them into little balls here, put them on some parchment paper, and gave them 5 more minutes. And we are ready to start rolling these bad boys. So I just kind of in and out a little bit. You can use a rolling pin. Some people just pull the masa apart. I choose to use my mom's rolling pin. She was always making sopapillas and tortillas. So, and with sopapillas, you don't have to have them a perfect shape or size. It's however you want your sopapilla. We don't like them too thick and we don't like them too thin. So we give it some pretty good rolls. And this just takes a minute. But the masa did come out into a good consistency, which is good. I just keep flipping it several times till I'm happy with the consistency it comes out to. And you can make them as big or as little as you want. We like them to puff up really good. Sometimes we like stuffed sopapillas, sometimes we like Indian tacos, just however you want it. I use a butter knife and I just cut them to whatever size I want. And then I go ahead and gather them up and I take them over to the pan. The oil's been warming for 30 minutes already, so it is going to be perfect. You just drop your sopapillas in there. You can see how they're already starting to puff really good. Look at that. If you want them to get going and they're not moving, you can just poke them a little bit. And you want them to brown really good. Let them brown on one side. However you want them, flip it. That's like the perfect brown right there. Oops, that one's being a little, doesn't want to stay there. We'll get back to him in a minute. Flip this one, flip that one. And again, however you want them. I just put them in a bowl with some paper towel to drain that grease. I like to move my bowl a little closer. And there are your sopapillas.